To Moon Tavern, a short story by M.C. Newfer. So you can't get there from here, is the answer most receive if they ask for directions. This small section, this establishment on Corona Station, is for older experienced spacers holding the unavoidable occupational scars, visible and otherwise, of at least a decade in the out there, in the big empty. No place here for the optimistic clatter-chatter of bright-eyed youth. Booth in the back corner, please. The hostess knows the routine. We're a very exact and precise gathering. Our group makes the same request, in the same words at the same evening hour on the same day of the week. Few of us are in port every week or even every month, but we always seem to have a quorum of 6 for her to seat. Never more, never less. Late arrivals get shuttled off to the bar front or reading room upstairs for less boisterous conversations. In the 23 years previous, only once did our meeting fail to form. This entire sector was blocked off when the interstellar clipper Horizon 3 attempted to dock inside the station's manufacturing ring. Things were, to say the least, unsettled by the event. Yet we found our bearings the following week. Food, drink, and braggadocio bullshit stories are on the agenda with occasional show and tell tossed in for flavor. We have a chairperson to keep things nice and tidy, settling disputes and ruling on our tall tale's veracity, and rating the several storytellers' deliveries. As the evenings wear on, the chair's pronouncements become slightly slurred. We expect it. We promote it. The chair gets free drinks. The moderator is selected by rule. The third member to show up is it. Most of us try not to be third. It eliminates you from joining in and cajoling narrators to be more forthcoming, or at least more provocative in their facts and delivery. Tellers are routinely interrupted by accusations, shouting, table-thumping, and the occasional reach-across. If you stay within the broad bounds of some credulity, you're safe from all but verbal stones cast your way. On this particular night I arrived first. Since then, that evening's congregation has never left my conscious mind. Every word remains, refusing banishment to the fog of misplaced memory. Our table included Chief Watterson, the most grizzled spacer in the universe, or so it seemed to us. Everybody knows Watterson as the lone survivor of the mining disaster of 27. The manner of his survival, what he had to do, sends shivers down my spine. Out of respect and awe when the chief attends, we maintain a civil and quiet reverence for at least the first 15 minutes, with muted small talk and sipping of brew. What started this curious night was Watterson seating himself third. I'd noticed him at the bar, leaning into his drink, hanging back, waiting. Highly unusual. Meetings start with current events, but not the sort the planet-bound understand. We have a routine. Our news pieces cover who's been promoted, demoted, thrown in the brig, and which ships have degenerated into piles of metal scrap, yet somehow continue to follow the nav lines. The juicier bits, the who's screwing who gossip, are saved for dessert. Eventually, everyone learns everyone else's business out here. That evening, Watterson presiding, each of us in our turn shared the requisite stretched short tales and tidbits as the round-robin progressed. I noticed Watterson skipped Danny, the youngest at this night's gathering, saving him for what reason I hadn't a clue, but would soon learn. "Well, Danny," Watterson boomed, "what have you brought to the table tonight?" Danny'd been fidgeting for the last 2 hours. He started with, "I'm not sure whether I should in all respects share everything I know, but I need to get it out there, away from me, as far as possible." "Don't hold back," Watterson demanded. "I'm sure we've all heard shakier stories than yours." Danny cleared his throat as his eyes roamed the room. "I'll tell this one straight up, no embellishments, no sidetracks." Danny's trepidation radiated like a beam rider, shedding excess heat. He began, "I was in a single-seat mining unit. You know the sort. Limited propulsion. Enough to move around your designated exploration area after Mama jettisons you on the proper trajectory. I was on my 10th day when the sensors went all screwy. Something massive was off my lower port quadrant, where only empty void had been a few seconds before. Of course, I couldn't see anything at that distance. I calmed the mothership, sent them my sensor readings. They told me to move in but take precautions. After a few micropulses to get me going in the right direction, it took 2 days to get close enough to see it. My primary concern was the oxygen and water reservoirs I had remaining. That and the fact I'd need someone to give me a tow, or at least a resupply if I didn't turn around before too long. Terry, ever impatient, rapped her knuckles on the table. "Get on with it, or I'll twist off your rudder." Glancing at Watterson and receiving a nod, Danny continued, "I'll get right to it, but I'm skipping over." "Please do," came the chorus from several well-lubricated listeners. Well, as soon as I got close enough for a visual, I still didn't understand what it was, but it was definitely something man-made. I latched on, intending to examine it in detail without wasting propellant for station keeping. The viewports in those units are small, usually scratched all to hell, and the cameras don't take long to get a good dust coating. Some grunted, some nodded, but Artie demanded, "Are we going to wait for dawn before this cranks up?" I could see Danny getting more than a bit annoyed. As I was saying, I couldn't see much, but my sensors were returning one thing 1 minute and another the next, so I suited up to go EVA. When I undogged the outer lock door, my spotlights revealed the most starkly strange sight imaginable. You all remember the Wanderer? How it seemed to dissolve in full view of Exeter Station without a trace about 15 years ago. Just the name of that ship gives spaces the willies. "Now you've gone too far," I said. "Are you going to sit there and tell us you found the Wanderer?" Jutting out his chin, Danny threw back, "Not making any such claim, but this thing had once been a ship." He leaned forward, gazed from man to woman, before proceeding, almost whispering. The difficulty in the determination was, it appeared turned inside out, wrong side backward. He halted for a moment, eyes downcast as if knowing he'd bitten off more than we would swallow. But he pushed on. There were things, hundreds of grey, oily things crawling all over it. "Oh, you had us going." Terry laughed. "So you're saying you discovered non-human intelligent life out there, and you're the first to do it?" Danny stammered a weak, "Well, it was that, or things that had once been human." My imagination's gears turned. I watched Danny's eyes lift to Watterson, looking for support or perhaps encouragement. This was too far off track from our usual orbit, but the chief nodded for him to continue. An ominous cloud of superstitious doubt formed, holding steady above the booth. Danny stiffened his resolve. "Let me tell you, I didn't waste time getting out of there, but before jumping back in the airlock I grabbed the closest piece of that thing at hand. Needed something, anything, to show I wasn't making up a story for the retrieval crew who'd meet me later. Still in my exposure suit, I unlatched from that horror and thrust it away, not caring if it was the right direction." He looked up, challenging everyone at the table. "I bet any of you in my place would have done the same. Gave me the shivers for some days, thinking one of those crawling things might have hitched a ride. Once away, I turned the cameras on the hulk. It hung there, infested, not moving. I don't recall who said it, but it was said, 'Don't you dare pause. Get this over with so we can have dessert, by God. This is becoming tiresome.'" Beneath the speaker's bravado lay the unmistakable tone of bump-in-the-night primal nervousness. Danny hoisted his glass down to good swallow. "Well, then it sparkled. Sort of a fizzle, and then it dissolved, just like in the videos of the Wanderer. In a few seconds, there was nothing left but the big, black, empty." Chief Watterson remained quiet during Danny's entire rendition, nodding in a few places, idly scratching a deepening groove in the table with a finger of his metal hand. That is, until Bennett broke the silence with a bellow. "This is the most unbelievable, cocked-up, crosswise tale to ever grace this assemblage. You have successfully stunk up the entire evening. Couldn't you have thrown in something believable, something possible, something probable to prop up your gas-bagging?" 3 others grumbled their approval of Bennett's outburst. I'm ashamed to say I was one. Watterson began tapping his fingers, drumming them louder and louder, metal on plastiwood, until silence was met. We waited for him to pass judgment. "The lad's story is straight and true, right down the line," he said. To Watterson, everyone was a lad. He proclaimed, Danny told my story exactly as it happened, as I encountered it, coached him on his delivery and all the finer points I did. If I'd told the tale, there would have been no challenges from any of you bilge cleaners, and that'd be no enjoyment or entertainment for me. Sweeping the gathering with a squinted eye, he reached into his satchel, withdrawing a stained canvas ship's bag, cinched at the top by a knotted drawstring. The bag had Wanderer stenciled diagonally across its width. Indrawn breaths accompanied the withdrawal of hands from the table. The disappearance of that ship, the manner of its demise, sends quantum chills through the blood of every spacer. No one wanted to be close to that ghost thing. Waterson's mechanical hand reached in, ever so slowly exposing a small dark segment of what was hidden inside. With determination, he quickly unveiled the remainder, slamming it down in the center of the table. No one breathed. No one twitched. We recognized what it was. We knew its brothers. A ship's log canister, designed to survive almost any cataclysm, even plasma jets. This one was badly distorted, warped, and blackened at one end. The other end presented a smooth, diagonal, mirror-smooth slice-through. Still, we made out the Wanderer's hull numbers, the unmistakably embossed imprint of W15390. "Before you ask," warned Waterson, "the bag is one I made up for this curiosity." He leaned in, whispering so only those in attendance would hear. "Found out what misfortune befell that ship and what caused it." With that, he leaned back, crossing his arms. A sure sign he wouldn't share that information. Not that anybody wanted to be infected with that knowledge. Like Danny, I needed distance from that tale. I think all who sat in attendance felt the same. We never spoke of it again, no rehash, no remember whens, no later questions. But for 2 weeks, something drove me, pulled me along, so I did some records archaeology into the Wanderer's past. Closure? I needed closure. My interest in further investigation ended with reading her last crew manifest. Those meant to be aboard before she disappeared. I suppose I could have looked deeper, scoured the net for more and finer details, but I didn't. On that page, it stopped there on the last name, Waterson Earl, Chief Mining Technician. I never told anyone. 20 years have passed, and Chief Waterson has never been seen again after Danny's tale. Not in the Moon Tavern or on any charted space station. Today, a thick brass plaque hangs on our booth's wall, welded in place, engraved with 2 words, Wandering Waterson. I put it there. Every man deserves a memorial.